Okay. Sonia, can you hear us?
I can. Sorry, I'm in my hotel room and housekeeping came to the door.
That's
Sorry.
okay. Hold on, we have some feedback
On my end?
in the room. Hold on. Okay, that's better. Let me make sure they're ready to go, and I think we should be about ready. Are y'all ready for Sonia to kick it off? Are y'all ready? You ready?
Well, I was trying, give me 1 second. I'm trying to make sure that I can access the voting sheets.
Sonia, we're having trouble hearing you. I'm going to boost the audio.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, hold on 1 second. I'm trying to boost the audio. Okay, I think we should be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is
Okay.
everyone ready?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, well, good morning. The July 17, 2025 meeting of the Charter Authorization Panel is called to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Arkansas Department of Education auditorium and ask that you please silence all your electronic devices. The goal is to facilitate a fair and responsible hearing, so I ask that each person speaking, please state your name and title each time you speak into the microphone for the record. I ask that you continue to speak clearly into the microphone throughout your presentation for the benefit of the panel, this audience, and the viewing audience. Excuse me. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and a transcript of the meeting will be posted on the DESE website. So again, good morning to everyone. Good morning to all my panel members that are there in person. And so if there's nothing else to claim our attention, let's get right into the next item. So first on our agenda are changes to the agenda. So first, after review of the agenda for today, are there any recommended revisions to the agenda, or do I have a motion?
You want a motion to accept the agenda as it is if no changes?
Yes, or if there are any changes, then we need to have that brought to our attention.
I move we accept the agenda as presented with no changes.
Second.
Okay, so there's a motion by Mr. Baldwin, a second by Ms. Newton, that we accept the agenda as it's written. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, not seeing any. So all of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Okay, ayes have it, motion passes. So next I would like to invite Mr. Schultz up to the microphone. Would you please come forward and provide an overview of the procedures for today's action agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. As I think y'all generally know, we have kind of two tiers there, and I apologize if there may not, I'm not sure if there's anything on the consent agenda, but those are items that are generally reviewed in kind of a pro forma manner. On the action agenda, all persons, with the exception of attorneys, must be placed under oath by the chair. Any charter school or applicant who wishes to present for the board has 20 minutes that chair makes in that time if the chair sees that as appropriate. Any parties opposed to actions before the board may also have collectively 20 minutes, and the chair may also extend their time if necessary. Charter school or applicant would have 5 minutes of response to any opposition if it's presented. The authorizer will follow presentations, discussions, public charter school applications, renewals, and requests and questions, if any. The open enrollment charter school, sorry, it's a little squeaky. In addition, you may receive written comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, So after that explanation, we'll go right into our action agenda. So first on our agenda for this morning, we're going to be reviewing charter schools requesting location changes. And so I would now like to invite Dr. Darrell Smith to please come forward and give us an overview of the following items.
Good morning, panel. Darrell Smith, Assistant Commissioner, Office of School Choice. Thank you all for being here. Certainly appreciate your time this morning. Our first action item on the agenda today is an amendment request from the Lighthouse Charter to basically relocate their middle school grades to their existing high school and to change the name from Flightline to Jacksonville Lighthouse Middle School. So with us today is LaShonda Noel, Executive Director of Arkansas Lighthouse, to make the presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Smith. Before we get started with any testimony from the charter, I would like to do a swearing in. So all those giving testimony today on behalf of Arkansas Lighthouse Charter Schools, please stand and raise your right hand. And if there's anyone that is joining online as well, if you could please also stand and raise your right hand if you're going to give any testimony on behalf of Arkansas Lighthouse Charter. So with that, do you swear that the testimony or statement you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay. Okay, with that, I will invite the Executive Director, LaShonda Noel, to come forward and begin her presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Charter panel members. I am LaShonda Noel, CEO, Superintendent for Arkansas Lighthouse Charter Schools, where our mission is to engage, embrace, and empower scholars, families, and community members to create a vibrant, supportive local ecosystem for all through education. We strive to empower scholars to be academically sound, technologically savvy, culturally competent, and sustainability conscious. We stand before you this morning with an amendment request to relocate and close out the Jacksonville Lighthouse Flightline campus located at 1030 Cannon Drive on the Little Rock Air Force Base, changing the name to Jacksonville Lighthouse Middle School and moving its location back to our existing campus at 251 North 1st Street in Jacksonville, Arkansas. This change is being requested due to the lease for the existing facility on the Little Rock Air Force Base being non-renewed and the public schools or military installation program being permanently discontinued. Per the Little Rock Air Force Base, this decision not to extend the lease was based on several factors, including future USAF and Little Rock Air Force Base operational needs and current evolving mission-critical sets and initiatives. Consequently, there was no decision to be made by Arkansas Lighthouse Charter School because the lease term gave Little Rock Air Force Base the absolute right to make the decision to reclaim and repurpose the facility. As the Arkansas Lighthouse Charter Schools Board of Directors and leadership team considered the impact of the closure of the Flightline campus, several community partners independently suggested or requested that Arkansas Lighthouse engage in a meaningful conversation with Jacksonville North Pulaski School District to explore potential collaborative or partnership opportunities. In light of the impending closure of Flightline, the discussion and openness to available options to best serve our students, families, and community were warranted. Simultaneously, the board engaged with legal counsel and other available resources to ascertain the viability of such a collaboration and its families to determine the desirability of such a partnership from their perspective. Based on the vetting and feedback, our families requested that we provide additional and/or alternative opportunities for partnership. It was determined that such a collaboration was likely not viable at this juncture. Arkansas Lighthouse Charter Schools leadership determined that Flightline scholars grades 5 through 8 would move back to the main campus at 251 North 1st Street in Jacksonville proper, beginning the 25-26 school year, as the main campus has historically served grades K-12 and would not impact traffic patterns or plans, scheduling, or the academic program. Our goal is to serve as many families as our capacity allows. Enrollment is an ongoing priority for us. As such, our operations team is always focused on recruiting. One of the primary ways that we recruit is taking care of the families we currently have. Currently, those families have assisted us in recruiting more families and other students, helping us grow enrollment from 347 scholars in 24-25 to an anticipated 507 scholars for the 25-26 school year. The scheduling process is anticipated to become more efficient. Scholars will benefit from an increase in instructional time, as well as having additional electives and club time. Plans include ensuring there's enough space on the first floor for grades 5 through 7. Core classes and 8 through 12 will be placed on the second floor. Elective courses will be located on the second floor and in the gymnasium. We anticipate the academic program will continue to move forward as well. In the past 2 years, the elementary school increased their overall school growth and performed above the state average in growth. Math, ELA, and science, all subjects saw improvement in achievement. We are still reviewing the 24-25 school year data, or growth data is not out for this year. The middle school and high school improved by increasing the middle school's ELA scores going into the 24-25 school year and increasing their algebra scores by 8%. They are still outperforming the local middle school in proficiency in every subject, 23-24 school year and 24 school year. The high school is outperforming the local public high school in math and increased their Algebra 1 score going into the 24-25 school year by 6%. They have gone up in math every year since the 22-23 school year. The high school outperformed the state average concerning growth of the bottom 25%. To continue to impact positive change, we are revising our middle and high school master schedule. We are moving from an A-B schedule to a 7th period schedule that will include a flexible intervention period. Core teachers will also have common planning time, which we have never had. PLCs will focus on data collected from the Arkansas Performance Learning Descriptors and assessments based on the Arkansas Blueprint standards. All scholars will be located on the same campus. This will provide us with the opportunity to combine all resources, including 2 academic principals, one with a mathematics background and one with a literacy background. Our goals all center around our scholar and school community as a whole. Remaining true to who we are, this shift does not impact our goals of progressing in the areas of growth, achievement, and the pursuit of a 100% graduation rate to college or careers producing high demand and/or high earnings. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your presentation. Mr. Schultz from Legal, can you please come forward and let us know if there's any legal concerns regarding this request?
No, Madam Chair, we don't have any concerns.
All right, thank you. So at this point, I will open it up to our panel members for any questions, starting with Ms. Stewart. Do you have any questions for the charter?
Yeah, I just have a few questions. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here this morning. In thinking about the lease and all of that kind of falling apart, when were you notified of that?
So we were originally notified the early part of December and January.
Okay.
It was not finalized. We were just notified that it was a possibility.
Okay, and so then at that point, that's when the board was engaged?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Just a couple more questions. I know the panel probably has some additional as well. Just to clarify, so the enrollment will be moving, or I guess a better way to put the question is, what are the numbers in grades 5 through 8? Just thinking about full capacity, I know you mentioned you've gone from 347 to an anticipated 525. What is the breakdown for those moving in to that space?
So we have approximately 242 scholars moving into the space. What I want us to understand is they have always used that space. We have shuttled those scholars back and forth between the flight line and high school space. So it will not be impacted in a negative manner.
Okay, so I appreciate that. So the staff, that shouldn't be an issue as well,
No,
moving
ma'am.
into that space. Finally, one last question. You mentioned 2 specialists, one for math and one for literacy. Is that correct? Does that
Two
cover?
principals.
That covers both.
Both campuses,
Both
our
campuses.
elementary and our middle high school campus.
Okay, for
Yes.
a possible total of 525.
502 currently, but yes, I'll take 525.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And we are continuing to roll new students every single day. So yes, that number could be at 525.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I've got.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Chairman.
All right, Dr. Bacon?
Yes, thank you. And I appreciate the information you shared. You answered a lot of the questions I had. Sort of pulling back, bigger picture, I'm sure you can understand when the things were printed in the paper, on the news, all sorts of it. It seemed a bit chaotic and confusing from the outside looking in. I would be curious what kind of communication, what kind of messaging has been given to your parents, your students, your staff, sort of reassure them that Lighthouse is strong, Lighthouse is here, Lighthouse is moving forward. Just kind of how does that look from an internal perspective?
So internally, that's the message that we're pushing currently. We're here, we're not going anywhere. We heard your voice. And so we have communicated that information as much as possible throughout this summer break. And I think our enrollment number is a testament of the community understanding that we're here. But we have continuously communicated with our school community as a whole, our parents, our staff, as well as our scholars. Big pushes in social media, of course, and then formal letters to our staff and our parents.
So obviously that's been successful from the student enrollment side because you're describing perhaps an increase for this year, and I think that's wonderful. Did you have a lot of turnover in your staff, or did that create any issues with the
We did.
Yeah.
At the elementary school, we did have quite a bit of turnover. We do have what I feel are our anchored folks that are still present, but we did have quite a bit of turnover. Some of that was also in reference to the new law that is coming into place that says that our staff must be certified. As you know, many of ours weren't, and so they felt like this might be a great time to exit. But most of it was just centered around the drama of everything. And so at the elementary school, we are seeing, or we will see, quite a few new faces. At the high school, everyone remained.
Okay. I mean,
Or middle and high school level, everyone remained.
Okay. I mean, that's understandable to me. And last question for me, you hit on enrollment being up a little bit. Your goal for enrollment long-term is what?
I mean,
Like
our
what can you,
cap,
what can you,
1,019
so you can
is-
handle 1,019 in
absolutely,
the downtown?
absolutely.
main-
With the buildings, the facilities, that 1,019 would not be a problem.
Okay.
We have the elementary, the high school, and then we also have the gymnasium or activity area that has 3 additional classrooms in that space as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Moore?
Good morning,
Good morning.
and thank you for sharing this information. It is helpful and gives a lot more context. Just a couple more questions. So you have the 3 different LEAs. Do you plan to merge any of those, or are you keeping 3 separate LEAs?
We were going to keep the 3 separate LEAs. We are doing that at the recommendation of, well, we're doing that, I think, just to ensure that we have separate, like, elementary, middle school, high school. If it is recommended that we do something different, we will, of course, hear that, but I feel like keeping the 3 separate LEAs will be best for us.
Okay, I just wasn't sure since they were gonna be on the same campus and sharing the same resources. How does the leadership look for that? Are you having separate principals and leadership in each one of those buildings completely separate?
Yes.
Or not buildings, but each
Yes,
of those
and
LEAs?
they are 2 separate buildings. So
Okay.
we will have an elementary principal, and then we also will have our middle high school principal.
Okay.
And they both have experience in those areas.
Okay, thank you. And then my other question is, you did, one of your waivers is for class size. Do you anticipate class size changing much from what it was already because of the turnover of teachers and consolidating into one building or 2 buildings?
We do not. We have been working hard, and I have been pushing the leaders to fill those vacancies and ensure that we are meeting classroom guidelines as it relates to capacity, so we should not have any issues.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have right now.
Thank you.
Mr. Baldwin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here today. Very helpful presentation. Let me ask, and I'm going to really focus on the students that are moving. And so it sounds like there's about 242 students moving, and that would be grades 5 through 8. So when they move, talk to us about the number of classrooms they move into, and are the teachers, it sounds like maybe they're going to be different teachers now that will be reading them. Talk to us about that process that they'll experience.
Thank you for your question. So again, our middle school and high school have always really shared the space at the high school, whether it's through, last year we used the high school space for high school students as well as elective classes, and so the middle school students were transported on B days to come in and do their electives. So they're familiar with the teachers, they're familiar with the building layout, so that won't be an issue. Our teachers will not change. Our high school enrollment numbers were a little bit lower, which allowed for us to push and pull in, and so we have plenty of space for those middle school students to be housed in that building permanently. And so they won't be impacted negatively.
I guess I'm trying to, I've not seen your building, so I'm thinking about these kids coming. Will they be in classrooms with 30 kids per classroom or 40? I mean, what does it look like? It's not one big room, is it? Yeah.
No, sir. So our high school building is a 2-story building. Floor 1 has about 15 classrooms as well as floor 2. So again, there's plenty of space for us to have students spread out, having enough room to move around. I would love to have the problem of having 30+ students in a classroom, but we don't have that issue. Maybe one day, but there is plenty of space.
Okay, I just wanted to envision how that would be. Thank you. You've got the support of the parents, it sounds like. I know one of the big deals when you change buildings with young kids is the transportation for mom and dad to get kids to where they need to go to. Have you worked through that process? Is there anything that is still pending with transporting kids?
No, we plan to run our transportation as we did last year, minus the shuttling of students back and forth. So everything will basically remain the same.
Okay. And then my final question would be, and I'm sure you guys have done this, looked at the financial impact of moving from really 2 buildings to 1 campus. And my guess is it's a positive financial impact. Talk to us a little bit about that, if you could.
You know, fortunately, our lease at the base did not cost us anything. They were great partners for us. And so, this move really isn't impacting or changing much. Everything is really staying the same. Again, we're just moving children permanently into the space. It has allowed us to, for those teachers who may have departed at the middle school level, and we may have had one or two, we've not had to replace them because we have everyone in the same space. So it's allowing for us to free up some of those resources.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Newton?
I think my question may be a question of clarification because I'm trying to remember, if I remember correctly, there was a strong inference drawn in establishing the charter based on the fact that it was on a military base. And in my mind, I think I remember that connection being an advantage for the school. Is that correct? Do I remember correctly? And if that's correct, then what now? I saw it as a military connection, not necessarily required military service, but having that atmosphere of careers and the order and all that. So if my assumption is and my memory is correct, what happens now?
So the charter, actually, the military piece came on after. So it came on, I want to say, in year maybe 2 or 3. So we were already really established. I think the military piece was an addition, but we're not losing that. We're still very much partners with the Little Rock Air Force Base and the military. We continue to participate in programming. They are poised to bring their counselors over still because we do still serve military scholars. So that's not going away. I think the only piece that looks different is the fact of us not physically being on the military base. But for us, the partnership has to remain because we still have those students in our space.
Ms. Newton, did you have any other questions? Ms. Newton?
Oh, I'm sorry. No,
Yeah, did you have any other questions?
I don't have any other questions.
Okay, thank you. So Executive Director Noel, thank you so much for your presentation and providing your clarification. I think that's helped the panel members to better understand the why behind your amendment request. And so I don't have any questions. Are there any other questions from the panel that need to be addressed before we entertain any motions?
One further question. What is the attraction of your school, and this is like a PR, I guess, that your enrollment is increasing to the extent it is? So what, in light of, in lieu of the media and all the attention and moving away from the base, so what is the attraction for communities, for parents to still want their children to be a part of this charter?
You know, I'm so happy you asked that question. This time has taught us a lot, and sometimes you need people to teach you about yourself, and we've learned a lot. I think for us, it's going to always be that small, family-oriented system or space that attracts people to us, attracts our families, attracts our scholars. We do, though, have this agricultural piece that we have highlighted for the past few years that is gaining momentum, and we're seeing scholars come into us who really want to lean into agriculture, agricultural sciences, and that has been, I think, the great thing that has pushed us forward. Again, our parents came out, they rallied, they let us know that Lighthouse is theirs, and so we heard them and we situated ourselves.
I don't have any further questions, thank you.
Thank you. So if there's no further questions, then I will accept a motion on the amendment request of Arkansas Lighthouse Charter Schools.
I move we accept the request to relocate the campus that has been on the Air Force Base to the, I guess you would call it the primary location for the Lighthouse Charter School.
I second the motion.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Baldwin and a second by Dr. Moore that we accept the amendment request to move locations of the Jacksonville, Arkansas Lighthouse Charter Schools from the Little Rock Air Force Base to their new location. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, if we could please go to our voting sheets and indicate our votes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if we could indicate how we voted, I will start with Dr. Moore.
I voted yes. I vote to approve the Jacksonville Lighthouse Charter Schools amendment request to relocate the Flightline campus to the Jacksonville Lighthouse Middle School location.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, I also voted yes. I think it makes sense. There's really no choice for them. I think they've reacted well in the situation, and I think it advances the experience of the students to be together like that.
Okay, Ms. Newton?
I voted yes. I voted for the amendment, and my explanation is all potential impact on students' facility and parent issues were discussed and have positive approaches and logical positive conclusions.
Okay, Ms. Stewart?
I vote for the charter amendment request for Arkansas Lighthouse Charter Schools to relocate Jacksonville Lighthouse Flightline to Jacksonville Lighthouse Middle School location.
Okay, and Dr. Bacon?
I voted to approve the amendment for Jacksonville Lighthouse Charter School. I have a lot of confidence in the school's leaders. I'm going to name specifically John Osborne and Deborah Brown, who I know will continue providing a positive learning environment for Lighthouse students.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on our agenda, charter amendment request for East End Public Charter Schools. Dr. Darrell Smith, please come forward, and can you please provide us an overview of the amendment request?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our next item on the action agenda is East End Public Charter Schools. They have submitted an amendment request to basically do some relocating of their buildings and some reallocating of grade levels. In attendance today is Nicholas Patterson, Superintendent of East STEM, to do the presentation.
Thank you. So with that, we are ready to hear the amendment request presentation. Before we begin, all those giving testimony today on behalf of East STEM Charter Schools, please stand and raise your right hand. And that does include anyone who is joining via Zoom. Okay. Do you swear that the testimony or statement you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. With that, thank you. You may begin your presentation.
Thank you all. My name is Nick Patterson. I'm the CEO of eSTEM. And on behalf of the eSTEM faculty and staff, I thank you all for giving us the opportunity to discuss the future of our schools. This panel has been instrumental in providing innovative opportunities for charter schools to continue, adapt, learn, and provide quality education to students. So I appreciate that. I began as the CEO of eSTEM in July 2024, and at that time, it was clear that our enrollment and our facilities footprint were out of balance. Throughout the summer of my first year and the first few months of school, we made a concerted effort to recruit new students. However, unfortunately, we did not achieve the intended results of needing almost 800 students to get those two things back into balance. Throughout the second half of the year, instead of spending more money on marketing and recruitment, our team began to explore ways to utilize our existing facilities more efficiently, thereby providing more resources directly to the education of our students. The plan that we have put before you is the result of our staff, some of the consultants that we've worked at or that we've worked with to achieve our goal to adjust our operations to ensure that we invest our resources in our students. With this new campus structure, eSTEM Public Charter Schools will create a sustainable and efficient district that will provide a consistent academic program at the elementary, junior high, and high school levels. We are proud of the proposed plan, which is fiscally sound and rooted in our mission to make our students college ready, career ready, and world ready. I know there are a handful of questions about our restructure, so I have those kind of grouped into themes, and I just kind of like to walk through those a little bit for the remainder of my time. So the first series of questions that I saw were around the decision-making and the planning process. And so these changes in this whole restructure came about from three different things. The first was our current building occupancy rates. So when I started, I looked at all of the occupancy of our 5 buildings, and they ranged from 38% full to 83% full. So we had no building over 85% capacity at the time. We had over 800 available seats in our buildings, including 700 available seats in our 4 buildings located in downtown Little Rock, 2 on 3rd Street and 2 in East Village. We also worked with Mariposa Consulting, which is a consulting group that helped us to try and recruit students. That was that concerted effort I talked about at the beginning. And we made a very good faith effort to recruit a lot more students. We committed tens of thousands of dollars to advertising, to mailers, to open houses, to everything we could to try and get more bodies into the school to maintain at 5 buildings. We just did not achieve those intended results. We did not see that type of demand coming back from our recruitment efforts at that point. We also worked with Afton Consulting, which was a financial consultant, to review our financial model given the declining enrollment and the fixed facilities cost. To be frank, we weren't operating at a sustainable level with a very high fixed facilities cost and declining enrollment and therefore declining revenue. So to solve these issues, we worked with Afton to create a new financial model built around our 24-25 third quarter ADM, which was 2,381 students. We separated all of our revenue into 2 buckets, our recurring revenue and our non-recurring revenue, and we built a model that allocated 65% of recurring revenue to personnel, 23% of recurring revenue to non-personnel, non-facilities, and 12% of recurring revenue to facilities. And we wanted to make sure that we could stay within those guardrails so that we could be sustainable for next year and every year going forward. We took all non-recurring revenue and created a special pot that we used to fund supplemental activities or one-time special projects. So to meet both the personnel and facilities guidelines or guardrails of our new model, we could not operate at 5 buildings. So we needed to figure out how to operate down at 4 buildings. So that was the overarching kind of driving decision that led us to make the decision that we felt like eSTEM Public Charter Schools needed to operate with 4 buildings instead of 5. Once we had made that decision, we had to determine which buildings made the most sense. And so this is where we did an analysis of each of our buildings. The one that we ultimately decided to exit was our facility on the UAL Little Rock campus. And the reason for that is kind of 3 or 4-fold. First, The UA Little Rock building only has a capacity of 600 students. So for us as a high school, that meant we could only have 10th, 11th, and 12th grade there. We couldn't have 9th grade there. We needed to have 9th grade in a separate location. The original plan called for us to expand at UALR, move into a different building, take over some additional space, and be able to do a full 9-12 there. But as we got into those discussions, it turns out we would have had to do a lot of work with sprinklers in the building. We would have had to sprinkler one floor above and every floor below the floor we were going to use. At our current state, that was just financially prohibitive to make those types of changes. The second piece was that the UALR facility lacked a cafeteria or a lunchroom, and so we were having to lease additional space from UALR to do lunch, and that was an additional cost. The other 4 buildings that we were looking at in downtown Little Rock all have a multi-purpose room and a cafeteria or a cafeteria. The facility at UA Little Rock was also 6 miles from our other campuses. So it was 6 miles from the downtown campus on 3rd Street. It was 7 miles from the campus on East Village. And we had parents who had all 3 drop-offs. So they were having to go all the way to stop at each location. So that one was just an outlier for that reason as well. And finally, the facility on the UA Little Rock campus was leased, whereas we own the other 4 buildings, so that just made that a little bit more of an easy decision, that if we're going to get out of a facility, the leased one would probably make the most sense. So once we decided that the UA Little Rock campus was the one that we would need to move away from, we had to figure out how to organize the other buildings that we were going to have around some non-negotiables. We still wanted to be a K-12 district, and we still wanted to make sure that every student who attended East-Em the previous year had a spot. We did not want to shrink in size. So we decided to look at what building could serve as the high school, and we settled on the larger building in East Village, which previously was our East Village Elementary School. We chose that building for a couple of reasons. One, the layout of the building. It's 1 floor, big, wide open hallways, large classrooms. Second, it has the capacity to accommodate 9th through 12th grade in one building, which we'll be able to do for the first time in a while, at least. It has a lunchroom, the largest lunchroom of any of our buildings, actually, and it has access to outside area that we can set up for lunch as well, and outside area that we can set up for instruction, which will be nice additions to a high school. And we have the most parking available down in East Village. We have over 160 parking spots already secured in East Village for our staff and students, compared to limited parking options on 3rd Street. So once we decided that that building was the one as the best fit for the high school, then we had to rearrange all the other buildings to make that work. It made sense for the smaller East Village building right there next to it to become the junior high. That allows us to accelerate some learning for middle school students. We have a lot of students in middle school who are already taking high school classes and would like to take more high school classes, and this makes this very easy because the buildings are separated by a breezeway. You can walk right between them, and so our goal is to accelerate some of those middle school students at the high school. And then from that point, we needed to consolidate the 2 elementary schools because we had 2 buildings left. We had Downtown Elementary and East Village Elementary. We were using the East Village Elementary School as the high school, so we wanted to consolidate those into one elementary school spread across both the Gazette building and the Federal Reserve building. Once again, those are directly across the street from each other. So the way that we set that up is K4 would be in the Gazette building and 5-6 would be directly across the street in the Federal Reserve building. So ultimately what this allows us to have is an elementary campus on 3rd Street serving about 1,200 and something students, that between K6 and then about a mile away we have our secondary campus serving 7 through 12. Another question that I saw was around the traffic patterns for these schools. So fortunately, this doesn't actually impact our traffic patterns that much. As recently as 2 years ago, we had this number of students in all of these locations. So we have traffic patterns that are designed to support this amount of students. So 2 years ago in the Gazette building, we had 892 students. This year, we're projecting 885. We feel like our traffic patterns can support that. In the Federal Reserve, 2 years ago, we had 406. This year, we have 379. We feel like our traffic patterns can support that as well. 2 years ago, in our large building down in East Village, we had 772. This year, we're projecting 721, so we feel good about that as well. And the only place where we have a significant increase is in our small village in East Village. We went from 292 2 years ago to 393. But our police officers who we work with and consult with on traffic recently met with the City of Little Rock and the head traffic engineer, and they feel comfortable that they'll be able to support that increase. The reality is it's only an increase of 50 students when you count the decline at the large building and the increase at the small building. It's a 50 student increase. So they feel good about supporting that. The second kind of theme of questions that I saw were around our relationship with UALR and how kind of that process has worked. We have a positive relationship with UALR, and we are going to continue to partner with UA Little Rock on CTE, concurrent credit. We've started a collegiate academy, so we will have our first group of students who will actually be leaving campus from East Village, going to UALR to take classes on campus at UALR. So we're excited about that, and we're excited about all of that continuing. When I let Dr. Drayle know that we needed to consolidate down to our 4 buildings, she understood and was realized that this was an enrollment issue that we needed to fix, and we needed to make sure that we were sustainable. So we had a very productive conversation about that. Both sides have been very supportive of each other as we've gone through this move, and we've had and continue to have a positive relationship. There was also a question about kind of large space and athletic fields. We've always rented those, so even when we use like the Jackson Stevens Center for Graduation at UALR, we rented that, so we can continue to do that. We also have relationships with UALR around athletic fields that we will continue to pursue. We also use Arkansas School for the Deaf, Burns Park, others, so we're looking at all of those options as well. But those have always been rental activities, and nothing about this restructure plan stops us from being able to do that. And then there were a couple of questions as well around just kind of next steps and what this means for our enrollment and our kind of future goals. We still have room to grow in this new structure. So I think the capacity across these 4 buildings is a little over 2,700 students. Right now we're projected to be about 2,381 for next year. So we still think there is room to grow, and I think with some of the momentum that we have around growth awards, performance on the simulated grades, and some of the other exciting things we're doing, we expect there to be more interest in eSTEM as well, and so we're excited to have room to accommodate those students as well. Our goals have not changed. We still want to ensure that every student is college ready, world ready, and career ready, and that's what we're going to focus on and build our programs for. We're just going to be able to do that in a much more sustainable way now, where we actually have more resources to invest in the education of our students. And finally, there was a question about turning around the high school's academic performance. So when I first started, I went back and looked at all the available data, and unfortunately that high school has just been stuck at a C for a little bit. We did exceed the state average on the new simulated grade by over 20 points. We were 0.008% away from a B on the new rating, so we were 7 points away out of 900. So we feel very confident about the momentum that we have going at the high school and what we'll be able to continue in this new location. We won 2024 Office of Education Policy Growth Awards for Best Overall Growth Scores, Best Math Growth Scores. We won a top 5% growth and graduation award at the high school from the Arkansas Department of Education. We also won a Peer Network Growth Award. So we feel confident in the momentum that we have going at the high school. We have the vast majority of that team coming back. We have the director coming back. We just have them all in a new location. So we're optimistic about what we're going to be able to achieve there. So I'll stop there and see if there are any questions from y'all, but hopefully this has been helpful.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Schultz from Legal, can you please come forward and let us know if there are any concerns?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, changes of these nature don't implicate legal concerns generally, so no concerns.
All right, thank you. Okay, panel members, Dr. Bacon, do you have any questions?
Yes. First, I want to thank you for the details and the time you all spent obviously responding to some of the questions. I think that was really, really helpful. And also just commend you and your team for making the hard calls and doing the tough work when it's time to make a change and be proactive, not waiting for events to control that for you. So I really want to say I appreciate you guys for taking on that task and presenting a plan. I think I just kind of want to go through the 3, since you'll have 3 schools, and talk a little bit about each. But first, so the downtown junior high now will be, or it actually is already a combined junior high, right? You had 7th and 8th grade combined already.
Yes.
That was a change that was made. So really they're just changing location.
Correct.
That school, I was just looking at the growth charts from OEP, was actually the top-ranked #1 overall growth school from middle school and junior highs in the state.
Correct.
So phenomenal, phenomenal. I would love to know, just sort of for anybody listening or for those of us here involved in the work, what are the things, maybe 2 or 3 top things that you all would attribute that phenomenal success at the middle school, junior high level that maybe could be lessons learned for others?
Yeah, so I think the 2 things that really jump out are staff consistency. That school has done a really good job of maintaining their staff. We have an excellent school director there who has built a culture that people want to work in and want to stay in, and she has done a great job of having that staff year after year, which I really do think makes a huge difference. Secondly, they've just really dove into the numbers. So they really started looking at the individual student level for all the data. So looking at their scale scores, their expected growth scores, and really putting plans in place specific to the student, not the class, not the grade, but the student to make a difference. So really making sure that each student is trying to get the instruction that they need and developing a plan for those students. We've incorporated some new tools like iReady, which gives us a lot more data, a lot more ability to drill down to the student level. And that principal and our academics team, Dr. Page over here, has really dove into that and made sure that that is the common practice now. And we're starting to see, I think the junior high was an early adopter, but with their success, everybody else is starting to see that work as well.
I like to name names, so that's Melissa Gray.
Yes.
Who's the director of that school, who is also a recent graduate of the Master Principal Program, I believe, all
Yes.
3 years. Yeah, phenomenal leader. Moving to the elementary school, and so I know that both elementary schools had sort of been stuck at like a C level for a few years, some academic needs. I believe the downtown elementary has been on the upswing and improving. Am I right? What was their simulated grade?
A B, simulated.
Okay, so
yeah,
moving up to a B,
yes.
seeing positives. Now that sort of it sounds like East Village Elementary is being absorbed kind of into downtown and using the downtown location, and I assume the downtown leadership that
Yes.
was there. What changes, or what is happening to feel confident that those students will be absorbed and that things will continue on that positive track academically?
Yeah, so the leadership from downtown elementary is still in charge. A lot of the teachers have moved over from East Village to downtown elementary, so there will be some consistency there. I think the biggest challenge is just going to be the size, right? And the increase in size that we're going to expect for this first year. It is not something that we haven't seen before. We have experience being that size, as you well know. So I do think they have a pretty good plan in place, but I think a lot of it is just going to be procedures and just making sure that we have clear, consistent plans and processes for what that elementary school looks like. I think the data piece that we've been doing that is started with the junior high and is now kind of expanding throughout our district are in place. I think we'll be able to do those. A lot of our teachers who came either from downtown, who stayed at downtown, or came from East Village are familiar with it. So I think it won't be like starting over from scratch, which I think will work to our advantage.
Yeah. And then finally, looking at the high school, I know as you mentioned here, I think they've been at around a C for 3 or 4 years. Before that, there was a time when I think that school was like the junior high was one of the top. It was an A, it was award winning, it was phenomenal. What can be different moving this new start, fresh start for the high school? Now it's a 9-12, like most of the traditional high schools around here. What do you see that can be different for the high school to maybe get them back to that? I know you said they're on the upswing, some really positive growth. I mean, is there anything that you think will be different now than where it's been maybe the last?
Yeah, so I think one thing that will really stick out is as we start looking at the role of graduation with distinction and graduation with merit, and I think just being able to kind of be back in downtown Little Rock, I think there's going to be some opportunities for partnerships that will help us maybe get some of those certifications and things like that that help you kind of tip the scale towards graduation with distinction or graduation with merit. That ends up being a valuable part of the formula for how the school grades, and I think that's an area that we have a lot of room to expand and grow into, and I think being down in East Village and in downtown Little Rock is going to set us up well for success to explore that. I think when my conversations with Janie Young, the director of the high school, that is what she sees as like the opportunity for growth. There is really building up internships, the ability to get professional certifications and things like that.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, Dr. Moore?
Thank you so much. Information is very robust and very helpful. So most of my questions have been asked. I did, and if it's in here and I'm overlooking it, I apologize. When were the parents notified about the change in location?
Yeah, so they were notified on May 9th. So
Okay.
that was the day that we kind of went public with the announcement to parents. We then submitted, like, as part of that announcement, we created a survey where parents were able to ask questions, and we then kind of followed up answering all of those questions. So we would collect those and then put out frequently asked questions, but the date was May 9th.
Okay. And then have you heard anything in those surveys that you had and the focus groups and different information about the impact maybe on some students that lived close to Euler or their parents work close to Euler, that they may not be able to continue with Easton because of the change?
So we actually have not seen a lot of withdrawals at the high school level, no more than what you would typically expect in the year. But there, in those, when we kind of do a withdrawal survey and we ask information about that, they have not indicated that it's because of this move. Now, that doesn't mean that that's just not what they said, but that's not what the indication that we're getting at this point, is that it's because of this. One thing that we are excited about being downtown is all 4 buildings now are within a mile of the Rock Region Metro Transport Center. So we do think we'll be able to utilize, we have a strong partnership with Rock Region Metro. We give every student who wants one a free bus card so that they can take city buses. We think that will help being able to get down to the hub, and then from there to either East Village or 3rd Street pretty efficiently.
Okay, thank you. And I will say, one of my colleagues at work, her child attends Easton and downtown, and she sings your praises all the time and is very appreciative of the communication with parents and just the culture at your school. She works in education, so she's very pleased. So congrats on at least one very pleased parent.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Mr. Baldwin?
Thank you. Yes, just like everyone, I appreciated this. It's nice to be able to read it ahead of time, and you did a good job of walking through that with us. And I just also want to say, it seems like you all have made a bunch of what I would call hard decisions, and oftentimes people are afraid to make hard decisions. So I commend you and your team for doing that. It seems logical, and I think sets the school up financially for a different future reality. Talk to us a little bit about Afton Consulting. You have that mentioned. I would be interested in knowing how you found them, what you think about them, and is this a long-term relationship, or is this just for this point in time?
Yeah, no, that's, excuse me. So we got connected with Afton Consulting through Equitable Facilities Fund, which is a group that kind of holds debt for charter schools. So obviously our plan and our goal would be to refinance all of our buildings on long-term notes with Equitable Facilities Fund. As part of that, they set us up with Afton Consulting as a resource to help make sure that all of our numbers and everything looked good and made us attractive as a refinancing option for EFF. We've been incredibly pleased with them. We are continuing with them, yes. So I just signed an agreement to continue with them for next year. We find them incredibly helpful, and they are just a great thought partner, and then they just have a whole bunch of national expertise. So like, for example, the guardrails around 65%, 23, 12%, they were able to pull those from just national norms of how they have seen successful charter schools operate. And they were able to say, if you can get close to this, we know you're gonna be okay. And so I think it was just that type of insight was incredibly helpful.
Okay. I'm glad you're gonna have an ongoing relationship. I think that's good.
Me too.
We had received some budget projection information, just some narrative, and I just wanted to ask about those. So it says here that you have a new staffing structure, which saves about 1.1 million. And then reduced facilities costs will save 1.1 million. And then the non-renewal of the CMO lease is 220,000. So get behind the numbers and tell us a little bit about that. And does that mean that you'll end up having, I guess I'm wondering what your bottom line is projected to be?
Absolutely. So the staffing restructure, those are always difficult. But yeah, so we decreased from about 279 to 257 staff or something along those lines. So, it was a decline of 20 plus staff. A lot of that we were able to absorb just through attrition, which was nice and better than the alternative. Some of it was through typical non-renewals, and then some of it was through a reduction in force that we had to do. But we do anticipate those savings associated with that. The facilities cost of $1 million. So some of that is just additional fees that we had to pay to UALR for things like leasing the lunchroom, athletic fields, some of that we're parking that we're just not going to need to do anymore. So we'll be able to anticipate those savings. And then the CMO lease, so I should have mentioned earlier, the one building that is gonna still be under 85% utilized, that's where the CMO is going. So we're gonna get rid of our separate office and we're all gonna move in, or the vast majority of us are gonna move into that building to make it a little bit more efficient as well. So that's a nice savings as well. So ultimately, for our budget for next year, what was on our approved budget, we are coming in about $528,000 in the black, which is the number that we actually need to hit in order to have 60 days cash on hand.
Okay, that's great. And the timing for this all happens in August?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Actually, July 30 for us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Newton?
Something I heard consistently from the panel is logical, and a word oftentimes is overused. I think it's pivoting, and I think I want to use it today just to say that you've done an excellent job in responding to situations and making adjustments. And certainly you haven't been without issues, I'm sure, throughout the granting of the charter, but it's refreshing to see, to hear this information and hear the response and reaction to it. So I just wanted to say I appreciate the foresight and making the adjustments that's needed before the black becomes the red. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Again, thank you, Superintendent Patterson, for your presentation and clarifying the questions that were presented to you. I don't have any questions at this time. So if there are no further questions from any panel members, then I will accept a motion on each of the amendment requests from Eastham Public Charter Schools.
That was going to be my question. Is it 3 separate amendment requests? We need 3 separate motions, or is it 1?
It's 1. I think we can put it all in 1, because it'll be 1. It's 1 on the voting sheets. So.
Okay. Well, before I make that motion, I'm name checking today. We left off Melissa Bravo, your phenomenal elementary school director. Don't want to leave her out. So I would make a motion to approve the amendment requests for Eastham Public Charter School.
I second.
Okay. I have a motion by Dr. Bacon and a second by, is it Ms. Stewart? Was it Edie, was that you or was
Yes.
Tina? Okay,
Edie
sorry.
Stewart, yep.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Bacon, a second by Ms. Stewart, that we accept the amendment request submitted by Eastham Public Charter Schools to split their elementary schools to 2 locations and relocate the Eastham Junior High School and relocate the Eastham High School. Are there any discussion? Is there any discussion on the motion?
Before we vote, I do just want to clarify what Dr. Bacon asked, because we have separate amendment request forms. So just to clarify that we do only need to vote once, and that will cover all of them. Because in the past, we had to do it separately when we had separate forms.
I'm looking at the voting sheet, and as it's written, because we do have several items on the agenda today that will require separate votes, and this is not one of them. So everything is listed in this one. So okay. I'm believing from the guidance from the charter office that this is a 1 motion, 1 vote.
Okay, good deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on the motion? Okay. If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Any opposed, nay. Okay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. If you please go to your voting sheet. we can share how we voted. I'll start with Mr. Baldwin.
Yes, thank you. I vote to approve the several building and relocation requests of students as described in the application. I think this improves the school's financial condition, future financial condition, and I believe also will improve student education.
Thank you. Ms. Newton.
I voted for the motion and with the explanation. It's a well thought out approach, taking all variables into consideration, resulting in positive conclusions and outcomes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Stewart.
I vote to approve the eSTEM Charter Amendment request to consolidate from 5 locations to 4 as described. I believe that this will help firm up their financial impact.
Okay, Dr. Bacon.
Oh, I just erased everything I had typed. Okay. I said, I vote to approve the amendment request for eSTEM because of my confidence in the leadership team's ability to make the tough calls necessary to right-size the organization and continue the positive academic momentum of the schools.
Okay, and Dr. Moore.
I vote to approve all amendment requests from eSTEM Public Charter Schools to relocate campuses based on fiscal and operational needs. Appropriate communication with families was conducted, and the overall impact on students should be positive.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, next on our agenda, open enrollment public charter schools amendment request to defer school opening to the 2026-2027 school year. Dr. Darrell Smith, if you please come forward and give further explanation of the amendment request.
Madam Chair, while he's coming forward, I'm thinking, was eSTEM one of the first 3 or 4 charters that were established based on the law that was passed? Does anybody remember? I remember Kip.
It's one of the early ones. You know, Lisa had been around, I think, Academics Plus and Maumelle. I think eSTEM was pretty early. None of us knew what a charter school was when we started it.
But you did it well. You did it well.
Yes.
Next on our action agenda is a request to extend the start date. Originally, when Iota Community Schools came before this panel, they requested a start date of August of 2025. And they are here today to request an extension to August of 2026. And so Jaquel Rogers is here to present her rationale for the extension request.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Before we get started, all those giving testimony today on behalf of Iota Community Schools, please stand and raise your right hand. That does include any joining us via Zoom. Do you swear that the testimony or statement you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you. Dr. Rogers, you can please come forward and begin your presentation.
Good morning. My name is Jaquel Rogers. I am the Executive Director of Iota Community Schools. Our mission is to prepare students for a pathway to economic sustainability through transformative education opportunities. We operate currently 4 schools in Memphis, 2 middle schools, 2 high schools, and we're excited about the opportunity to come into Arkansas to operate an elementary K-5 and a 6-8. We have 2 separate charter proposals. We have decided to push to the 26-27 school year, quite frankly, because time was not on our side. We really wanted to be very intentional about our entry into Little Rock, so we spent quite a bit of time searching for an adequate location for our students, especially in the Southwest Little Rock community, and we worked towards some partnerships with other organizations, and again, time just was not on our side. One of the things we have done, though, we have hired we call them a principal in residence as they are training. So we already have a principal hired who will begin training with us in our Memphis schools. As we continue, we are having very strong conversations right now about a facility, and so we feel far more poised to begin in the 26-27 school year.
Okay. Mr. Schultz from ADE Legal, can you please come forward and let us know if there's any legal concerns regarding the amendment request? Hello.
No, this is a policy decision. There's no legal concern.
All right, thank you. Okay, so on to our panel. Dr. Moore, do you have any questions?
Yes, could you elaborate about the partnerships? I'm not as familiar with organizations having to partner with someone to be able to open their doors.
Well,
So could you speak more to
yes,
what you mean by
ma'am.
that?
Well, what we were trying to do is kind of cohabitate. I met Dr. Stewart as a part of that conversation because our missions are very much aligned. We were having conversations with Goodwill about possibly utilizing some space they had for our school, but it was a timeline. It was just a lot of things would have had to happen with their board. And because they have 2 boards, it was getting towards March and then April. So the timeline just wasn't working for us. It wasn't necessarily a partnership that they were operating a school with us. We were just trying to cohabitate. Really looking for a facility that would offer the space we needed, especially for the demographic we were hoping to serve. We also looked at the Meadow Cliff facility that is empty. It required a lot of work in order to be prepared for the current school year, for the 25-26 school year. And then we had been in talks with actually Jacksonville around a management agreement. And so the just kind of shifting priorities did not allow us to get into a facility to open for the 25-26 school year.
Okay. How does this compare to your model in Memphis?
So in Memphis, our organization started out as transformation schools. So we were in buildings that already existed. They were schools that already existed. And so we partnered with those schools to increase their academic performance. With the agreement, the Achievement School District in Memphis, we have 2 schools with the Achievement School District currently, and then 2 schools with the Tennessee Public Charter Commission. 3 schools, Wooddale is transitioning to the Charter Commission this year. They all came with buildings. So they were already established schools. We came in as the partner for transformation. Bluff City is a school that we transformed a church into a school. So it is the one property that we actually had to establish, very much like what we're seeking to do here in Arkansas.
Okay. So just to elaborate a little on what you mentioned, because you had that you're currently in talks with another organization, and you said shift in priorities or what you were focusing on. So what is the primary goal? Do you think that you'll partner with another organization just for cohabitation or more of the actual school partnership itself?
So when I said shift in priorities, we had been having conversations with Ms. Noel at Jacksonville around the possibility of a management agreement with them and IOTA transitioning to that management agreement. That was one option that we had. And then currently, we recently went to, met with ESTEM and the campus at Euler. And so we're also looking at possibility moving into that space. So it's a conversation we're having.
Okay. That's the only questions I have at this time. Thank you.
Could I ask a question,
Yes,
kind
ma'am.
of segue from that, Madam Chair?
Yes, you're recognized.
And I can't remember, but how does this change, or the various considerations for moving, does it change the demographics of the students that you are you know, I heard you mention Southwest and
Yes,
then
ma'am.
Jacksonville and maybe here or there.
Yes, ma'am.
How does that change? And I guess it's a procedural question with this panel, the charter office. How does that jive? In the sense of you came likely, I can't remember, when we
Yes, ma'am.
want to do this with this group of students who have issues around or can be,
Yes,
their
ma'am.
in education can be approved. So now, and the other part of that question too is that, does the department evaluate now, the move as it relates to time? Does that make sense? You know, so here we are 1 year going into another year.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
how does the department regulate the guidelines to follow for charter, moving from one academic year to the other? You could say, so many things could change within a year. So those are a couple of things that, so how does it change their application for this is who we want to serve and this is how we'll reach out to them and that? Because I see, you know, like I say, over here, over there, maybe over there, but we're really not sure. Because you look at the Goodwill and the partnership there, that's a totally different population, possibly, than you would see in Jacksonville. So I'm just a little bit, I don't guess I'm confused, I'm just concerned.
Well, let me
about
tag-
how-
Let me
Help
tag
me,
into Toyce's
help me,
question,
help
because I think it's a great question. I guess what I'm thinking as you were talking is, at what point in time should they come back for a reapproval? Because it seems like if they change materially what they intended to do, there should be a reapproval process and not just a.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so-
Let me address that real
Okay,
quick. Let me
all right.
verify your
Is that-
question.
Yeah, that's-
Is that Mr. Baldwin asking the question? Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Daryl Smith, Department of Education. So to answer your question, so at this point, what we're doing is basically, their amendment request is just to extend the start date, right, till next year. As things settle in and they kind of decide what direction they're gonna go, whether it's gonna be a management issue, maybe in Jacksonville, or if it is gonna be the Southwest, the original request, or if it's something else. When they decide, then yes, they will come back before this panel and make their presentation regarding whatever it is, if it's different from what the original contract was created for. So if we do make a material change to the contract to different student population, they'll
Right.
basically kind of reapply.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was wondering, because I was
Right.
trying to draw the parallel between the population, your school and your mission and your success in West Memphis to this population, looking at how they would correlate. maybe.
Jacksonville is a very different population.
Well, that's my whole, and it's a different, so many things could happen that would make it different.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, the recruitment or the you know, so many things could, you know, when you initially went into your process, I'm sure you had community meetings.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
these parents and communities say, we want this, and somebody else may say that's not important to us at all. We're going in a different direction. So I could see us, potentially, looking at a totally different application.
Yes, ma'am. And just I think for a little context, given the conversations with Lighthouse, I think came about given their situation they were having at the school. And so we kind of met with them as thought partners initially, just to see how we could support with academic supports and things of that nature. And so they are continuing to operate.
But it seemed like it would be vice versa.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
because they're already who they are and
Yes,
doing
ma'am.
what they do, yeah. But
Yes, ma'am.
that's my concern,
Mhm.
because I remember the presentation, I remember
Yes, ma'am.
the
Wraparound
demographics of,
services,
yeah, and all that,
absolutely.
so. it
And we would be able to continue that model in the Euler space, because we're not seeking to do high school there. We would be seeking to do a K-8 in the space, and it would be to serve the community students in surrounding.
But you do
yes,
agree
ma'am.
that model doesn't fit every school and every community
Oh,
and every
absolutely, yes,
district?
ma'am.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that was my
Yes,
that was
ma'am.
my
Yes,
point.
ma'am. But strong tier 1 academics is our intention for all students. And so
Okay.
that was the conversation with Lighthouse, just supporting their academic needs. They wanted to look into how to begin interventions for their students, which is something that we do quite well and do a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And just to assist me, because I'm chairing via Zoom, as a reminder, when you, Dr. Rogers, whenever you speak, if you just want to reintroduce yourself again before you speak.
Yes, ma'am.
And then panel members, if you would kindly assist me with letting me know when you want to speak so I can kind of keep track of who's talking. Okay, so Ms. Newton, do you have any other questions?
No, I'm sorry, I don't have any more.
Okay, Mr. Baldwin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Really just one question.
Yes, sir.
And as you were talking, I was thinking about the decision process that you're going through to select sites or site a site. And if you could explain to us who all is involved in that, from maybe from your team, and if you have any professional consultants here, real estate consultants, or folks that are involved in helping you with that selection process, and then ultimately who makes the go no go decision, and kind of the timing you expect to make that for next year.
Yes, sir. Jacquel Rogers speaking. We have been working with the APSRC as well as with Walton through the selection process of a property. And so I am the ultimate decision maker along with my CFO, Daniel Peñaranda. And so he and I work very closely together. We manage all of the meetings, and so I have the ultimate decision, but I definitely listen to the person who holds the purse strings. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ms. Stewart?
Yes, so good morning. Thank you for being here. Just a quick question following up on some of the other questions.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're talking about who you're working with currently,
Yes,
could
ma'am.
you describe how far along you are in that, just from the perspective of today to
Yes.
at this point next year?
So, again, Jacquel Rogers speaking. So we are still having conversations with the Lighthouse, and we just began the conversation this week regarding the East End property. Of course, they exited. They were actually moving out as we were coming in, and so Nick and I have worked together when he was in Memphis. So we are familiar with each other. So we began the conversation around that particular property Tuesday. We were here Tuesday to have that conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
just kind of piggybacking off what Ms. Newton was referencing, thinking about moving forward,
Yes.
what would it look like from a recruitment standpoint? Just out of curiosity, from if locations are changing,
Mhm.
is there a shift that you're making, connecting with those communities?
So with the Euler campus, Jacquel Rogers speaking, with the Euler campus, it really is more proximal to where we were intending to move anyway. It is very close to that southwest community, and so that is where we still intend to recruit. That is the community we really hope to connect with, and I think they would benefit most from the opportunity to work with our organization. So we are still, Southwest Little Rock is still our targeted demographic.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and Dr. Bacon?
Just a couple of things. So on the amendment request, I note that we were going to do K-5 for 25-26. Now we're saying in 26-27, K-5 and 6-8. So talk a little bit about that shift.
Yes, sir. So what we have, when we look at a financial model, we want to do slow growth for elementary, because one of the things we know is when you are able to really begin with those students in kindergarten, you shift their trajectory, especially with those foundational skills. And we're hoping to do kindergarten and possibly pre-K if the funding is available. But with a middle school, unless we are going to grow slowly and then work with our own middle school students, the opportunity would just take a lot longer. With a middle school, you really have a much greater financial opportunity with middle school because you can start a full middle school with students that we've experienced working with middle school students that we have not impacted initially through the elementary grades, but we know how to provide those interventions. Most of our middle school students who come to us currently, 60 to 70% of them come to us 2 or more grade levels behind. And so we really understand how to provide those intervention services, those full wraparound services to help grow and move middle school students forward. So we're confident because it is the area where we are most familiar is middle school, and so we're confident about the opportunity to start a full middle school but a slow growth elementary school.
And so, just sort of in case someone's listening or someone could be helpful.
Yes, sir.
What are you looking for? You're looking for one facility that can manage K through 8? You're looking
Yes, sir.
for 2 things nearby? Okay.
Preferably one building that would
Okay.
house both schools.
And so what's the ultimate enrollment for the K-8?
The ultimate enrollment is 650 to 700 students.
Okay. And so if with this, your plan now would be finding a place for 26, 27 and starting and with recruiting K through 8?
Well,
Yeah.
we would still do the slow growth
Okay. So
elementary
in the
model
elementary, you would start
and
with,
then a full middle
you'd
school.
start with just kindergarten, or what did you
Yes,
say?
sir.
You'd
We would start
okay.
with kindergarten.
Okay, so kindergarten and then go ahead and do 6-8.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. That's all I have.
Again, thank you, Dr. Rogers, for your presentation and additional explanation of where you currently are in the process of trying to find a location for 26, 27. I guess my thoughts would be the possibility of us being able to have an opportunity to touch base back with you maybe around October or so.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
As a panel to be able to kind of get a progress report on where you are thus far.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we can kind of see how things are progressing and then have some additional conversations at that time. So, and that's kind of to panel members, what are our thoughts on that?
I think that's a very good thought, because at this point, I don't think I could vote in favor of extending the time without many questions being answered. I think Lighthouse is there, the camp, the collaboration, and Euler, and I don't know at this point whether or not they
Yes,
want
ma'am.
you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
It's
discussions
their
are one thing,
conversations. Yes, ma'am.
and availability is something else. I think there are too many balls in the air for me at this point, and I'd like to wait till maybe October to see what the status is then, as opposed to doing something now.
Understood. Yes, ma'am.
So I guess more my thoughts were to give the opportunity to address the amendment, potentially maybe think about contingency of if we could have a touch point back in October or so to kind of see progress, so that we could give the charter at least the opportunity to have the authority to continue the process beyond this time period and not be required to do the start 25, 26, which we already know is not going to happen because they don't have a space. So that's more what I was thinking.
Then what action do we say, we take today, Madam Chair, just to say, I understand we're getting some help maybe. So what is the conclusion today, or what do we advise the IOTA to how to proceed?
Maybe I could shed just a little bit of light on that. Daryl Smith, Department of Education. I think at this point, the request that's before you is just to allow them to take their existing contract that we approved a year ago and allow them to extend it now, the start date, contingent upon a meeting, reappearing before this board in October with an update. Obviously, at that point, if you feel like we need to go through a reapproval process, depending on where they're at in the process, or maybe at that point even say, you know what, just not really sure where this is the best thing right now, we just need to stop and start over, you certainly have that right. But at this point, what I think the request is just to give them the opportunity to continue moving forward with the existing plan until they can finalize what's going on. Otherwise, a no vote or at this point would basically nullify the existing contract, and then they really would have to come back and start the whole process over again. So what we're asking for is just the request is to just say, let's vote on extending it, have them come back in October with an update on where they're at in the process. If at that point there is a material change to the original contract because of either the population they're serving, the location they're serving, then at that point they would address that with this panel with a different type of presentation, and at that point probably a different contract.
I think that was more so my question to the charters, would they be willing to do that? So if we said today that we would allow you to go forward, would you be willing to come back in October and give us a status update? That was my question to the charter. And I appreciate Dr. Smith's additional clarification on what that would look like as well, but that was my question.
Madam Chair, I feel good about that because I do have a lot of concerns. I have concerns of why even, and what Dr. Bacon asked about, you changed the grade served, but like, why was that not the original plan if you knew your sweet spot was already middle school? Why did, so I still have a lot of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
But obviously at this point, in this juncture, you're not gonna start a school in August.
Yes.
So, we need to move forward with that. But I do agree with you, Dr. Robert Murray, that October would be a great time to come back and get an update to see the status, and we can ask more questions then based upon what progress has been made.
Yes, ma'am.
So with that, there's no further questions on the amendment, and I don't have any other questions for the charter in regards to that. Then I will accept a motion on the amendment request of Iota Community Schools.
I move that we approve the charter amendment request for Iota Community Schools to extend their school opening to the 26-27 school year, contingent upon them returning in October to provide status updates of their progress.
I second. This is Edie Stewart.
Okay. So there's a motion by Dr. Moore, a second by Ms. Stewart, that we approve the amendment request for Iota Charter to extend their start date to 26-27 school year, contingent upon revisiting with the charter panel in October and providing a status update on the progress of finding a location and in regards to their charter moving forward with their new school year. Any discussion on the motion?
Madam Chair, this is Phil Baldwin. Just one clarifying comment and maybe question on the motion. So,
Okay.
A status update. I think what I would like to be included in the status update would be a revised plan, a very detailed plan about who you're going to serve, so
And
not
we will
just
know that by October.
we found a building, we think we're going to start building, but I'd like a whole lot more than just that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Dr. Smith, can we say that we would then work with you in your office to make sure we get all the questions and ask of the charters over to you before the October meeting, so you could work with them to make sure they come back to us with a thorough report of their status?
Absolutely, and we'll certainly be working closely with Ms. Rogers and Iota throughout this process as well. So this won't be like the last time we will be talking throughout over the next couple of months. So we'll be that, certainly if there's some additional questions or concerns that we have as they start finalizing finalizing their plans. At that point, we'll be able to address any contractual changes that are necessary and bring those to the board during our briefings and at whatever time and you can at that point ask whatever questions you need to.
And a question, Madam Chair, may I ask one more question?
Yes, go ahead, please.
It seems to me like October makes sense. Does that make sense to the school? Can you accomplish this?
And this is Jocko Rogers speaking. Yes, we will certainly have a far better plan, and our timeline will be more succinct by
Okay, is there any other discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Please go to your voting sheets, please. Ms. Stewart, if you can share how you voted.
Yes, I vote for the charter amendment request to defer opening to the 2026-2027 school year contingent upon a full charter briefing and progress update in October.
Okay, Dr. Bacon.
I vote to approve the amended timeline for IOTA to open schools in Little Rock and look forward to the detailed October status report.
Okay, Dr. Moore.
I vote to approve the Iowa Community Schools Amendment request to defer opening to the 26-27 school year contingent upon their representatives reporting back in October on their progress and status as it relates to students and families served, location, partnerships, organizational structure, and other relevant indicators as determined by the charter office.
Okay, and Mr. Baldwin.
Yes, I voted in favor of the one-year extension requested, subject to an update and strategic reconsideration report being presented to the charter panel in October of 2025.
Okay, and Ms. Newton.
I voted for the motion contingent on clarification of issues raised today and potential issues that may arise.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, to our next action agenda item. So open enrollment public charter school amendment request to defer school opening to 26-27 school year for Pinecrest, Fayetteville. Dr. Darrell Smith, will you please come forward and give us a little bit more detail on the amendment request?
Absolute. Darrell Smith, the Department of Education. The next 7 items on your action agenda all come from the same organization, so we're going to kind of talk about them all at one time, I think, and that way we won't have to have 7 different presentations there because it all relates to the same organization. Between Pinecrest and Somerset, Todd German, Chairman of the Board, is in attendance today and will be ready to answer your questions and present and explain their request for an extension for 1 year of their opening. Again, their original contract date for Somerset was August of 2025. For Pinecrest, it was also for August of 2025, and they're asking for a 1-year extension for both of those schools. Although there are 6 campuses related to Somerset, and certainly Mr. German can explain the rationale behind the 6 different campuses, as well as the Pinecrest thing at this time.
Okay. Thank you for that, and thank you for the clarification. So before we get started, it's our understanding that there will be one representative that will speak on behalf of Pinecrest and Somerset. Dr. Smith?
Yes, Mr. German is in attendance here in the room. He also has several members of his staff online.
Okay, very good. So all those giving testimony today on behalf of Pinecrest and Somerset, and that is in person and online, please stand and raise your right hand. Okay. Do you swear that the testimony or statement you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Can you unmute, please, so I can verbally hear? Sorry.
I do.
I said I
Thank
do,
you.
Beck.
I do.
All right, thank you. Okay, so Chairman German, you may begin your presentation.
Okay. Hello, board members. I'll be very frank. I'm a little embarrassed and frustrated to be here asking for this extension today, but we have made tremendous progress. And I think we provided the PowerPoint for you to hopefully get through some of the questions. It's very important today that we do get this extension, and we already had scheduled to come back in October to give an update, but I need this extension today, not contingent, because we've already bought one property and we have contracts on others, so we can do it. I have the team online in case we need anything. I thought we might just get right into this little PowerPoint. I dislike Zoom and I dislike PowerPoint even more, but I thought up to you, as we get through it, if you have questions as we do it, because I think the PowerPoint answers may preemptively answer a lot of the questions that we have. So my biggest question is, which button? Is it the arrow? Okay. This basically is what we're doing. And again, something clear, and it was useful sitting through these other presentations. We're not changing anything about the charters that were approved. This is just a timeline thing. Because remember, what we bring is scale. These are going to be giant schools, somewhere around 1,700 to 2,000 kids, and we have to be in the right area. And the investment to do that is enormous as we get going. To clarify, we're doing a Somerset right now we're looking in West Little Rock, Somerset in the Bentonville Rogers area, and Pinecrest, I think, down closer to Fayetteville. But that area is all about the same. Uh-oh. The right arrow? Oh, okay. Wrong way. This is our stuff. You don't really need to see that. This gives to ask what we've been doing all this time. We've looked at a ton of locations, and if anything, I blame myself for overpromising and underestimating the difficulty it was going to be to acquire big sites in these large growth areas. It's always hard. It's been very difficult. We've had buyers change prices on us in the middle of negotiations. We've had land we thought was perfect, except for the $1 million of fill that it needed. The other one that had undisclosed wetland areas, it's pretty much everything anybody's involved with real estate understands it. This is all PowerPoint stuff. This is an important slide. So in Bentonville, to me, one of the very important one is the green one, because that's the Rose Lawn. It's a giant facility that we purchased. I mean, it's purchased now, so we'd really like to get this approved today. But the ones in red are important because they're all the ones that we put a ton of time in negotiating with and working with that didn't work out. So that's where if we haven't been sitting on our hands wondering, we've been working on it. And we're negotiating on the yellow ones, and then the dark orange are kind of in backup. And then here in Little Rock, you're going to see a picture. We're negotiating actively with a large department store that recently closed. And then we do have a backup site in case something falls apart with that. Gives you an idea of the things we have. Let's see. The one on your left is the building we acquired. I think it's 65,000 square feet. It's fabulous. Right on the way to Rogers on the main strip. It's going to be a wonderful, I've been all through it. It's amazing. It was a call center. It has 1,000 cubicles in it. So we need time to renovate it, make it a school. The Bentonville Rogers one, you can kind of see the little OL. That is a former school. So that one's going to be almost move-in ready. And obviously we have to cut the names off because we're still negotiating. And the Little Rock, we've also had to cut the name off, but that's a big, recently closed department store in a high-growth area of town. And we need to be in the high-growth areas to be able to do this. I can either confirm or deny what it is. This gives you Rose Lawn, just kind of the idea. And this is a I think, 3-floor building. And kind of a timeline for that. So I think with that, unless anybody online has something to jump in, I thought I might ask you guys questions or answer your questions if we haven't answered them already.
question.
Sure.
Well, are you done with your presentation?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Well, yes, I'm done with the presentation,
Okay.
unless we need to
and-
jump,
okay,
bring something
and
back
just-
up. But
Just procedurally, Mr. Schultz, are there any concerns from legal that we need to have addressed at this
Oh.
time? You know the drill by now.
I think the previous answer applies. I believe we have any concerns. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So with that, Ms. Newton, I will start with you. What questions do you have?
My question is, the amendment request is contingent on all schools, all sites being available, or is,
no, I think on that, there really are three. There's the Pinecrest is one, K-12, and then if you remember in our previous conversations, it's good to see you all again, we have the two Somerset schools have 3 separate charters, and a lot of that, and I explained to the lady earlier, the big reason for that is for grants. When you do that, they'll all be on one campus, but it allows you to apply for multiple grants, and we've done that a lot. So, but this will be, I think technically these are 3 different extensions. Yes.
You have any other questions, Ms. Newton?
No, I don't have any further questions.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Stewart?
I guess my main question is, we've got 3 separate amendment requests, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So for each one of these, they are the locations that you shared in the PowerPoint.
Yes, ma'am.
And are they at different points? You mentioned the one is already
A
been
little, they are a
purchased.
little bit, but we're close.
Okay.
Roselawn, we've purchased, so that one's actively going through architecture review and doing all the rest. The other 2, we're at the very end of negotiations. I really wanted to have that signed before I came in, but we didn't until the previous one. Then I was a little nervous, but we're very close. I will not promise you anymore that we're definitely going to do it, but we're looking very good, and we have some backup just in case.
Okay, and then finally, there will be an update?
Yes, I think we had
And that
already
is
talked to
already
the
agreed
charter
upon,
office,
yes.
just kind of give an update in October,
Okay.
and we'll have somebody here in person to do that, probably
Okay.
me. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay.
Great. Dr. Bacon?
I don't really think I have any questions. I did just want to make the point. I was seeing here that you reviewed over 25 potential locations. I appreciate your diligence. I can't imagine the time and energy and effort that's gone into
And at a certain point, they know you're coming, and
Right.
it gets hard to.
the evaluation process. So I really appreciate the presentation and that you provided that in advance. I don't really have any questions.
Cool, thanks.
Dr. Moore?
I think you've addressed all my questions. I do want to apologize because I believe you were here last time,
It's,
and I thank you for coming back.
well, and, last time, I'll go off script a bit. When the Zoom died, it was a lesson to all, everybody jokes me for always being in person at everything. That's why.
Yeah. So,
Even if I didn't get to speak, I still
thank
was
you
here.
for coming back. I will say I saw your airborne patch, so I guess
hoo-ah.
that's why you're dedicated to make sure you show up in person even. So, thank you. I have no questions.
Okay, good. And Mr. Baldwin?
So really just a comment and a question. It's a brave new world with real estate, especially in Northwest Arkansas. It's crazy how hard it is to buy stuff and the value that people want for it. And it's just the fact that the area is growing. So it's a good thing, but I can't even imagine, like Dr. Bacon's comment. how
And
hard
you have to remember the commitment that we and our partners have. This school, we've paid for it. It's not going to generate you money for hopefully next year.
Yeah.
So it is a big commitment, and it just shows the commitment we have to Arkansas.
And we thank you for that commitment. The question would be, and I can't remember the details of your proposal, but I'm just thinking through, I'm a banker, so I'm thinking through the financial commitments you all are making for all of these buildings, the acquisition, the renovation. You talked about architects going in and looking at it. Is all that, talk to us, remind us about how that works, and is
I
that?
think for a lot of these, because of our scale, we've kind of cooked it into the long-term thing. One of our, I believe that the one in Rogers is done by one of our partners, and he's a real estate speculator basically, and he's built many schools. He's been one of he and his team have allowed us to grow the way we do. And like many commercial properties, they do it knowing that this is a long-term commitment. So he eats it up front and does the things, and then we negotiate a market rate lease with him, and then it goes from there, and eventually it catches up. And then a few of them, we may do some on our own, or others are long-term lease. And then we have a little more flexibility of when we start paying the rent and things like that.
So you have partners that will acquire, and then you're going to lease from.
We have partners with it, and Somerset has enough scale that we can do it on our own as well, if we need to. And often with our long-term leases, we'll scale them for enrollment. Because again, we want forever landlords, and they'll do it. They know our enrollment ramp up as we did in the application, and usually our rent will ramp up as children do.
If you do the acquisition on your own, do you have cash on hand?
Yes, we have a fortress balance sheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I think we have over 6 months in reserves.
So question, so what I believe I heard you say is that you have secured some locations, you're still looking for others?
One, we have absolutely secured one, and we're in final negotiations with 2.
Okay.
And then we have 1 or 2 backups as well in case those fall apart.
And the location that you secured,
It's in Rogers, Arkansas.
is ready to go for next school year?
It will be. The building's finished. We've got to convert it from a giant call center to a school, but that's doable.
Okay. So it will be your desire that we grant permission today to move forward with the amendment without contingency, I think I heard you say?
With no contingency. I mean,
Okay.
I would like to move forward today, and then we'll give you an update in October, but I don't want a contingent on anything.
Okay, so, which I believe is what we did for the previous charters, that we allowed them to move forward with their amendment, but just giving us an opportunity to at least have a touch point in October. Okay. Okay, so that's all the questions that I have. And again, and also thank you for coming back to our great state once again.
Sure. Well, again, my daughter lives in Bentonville, so it's easy to come back. Even though I'm not going to see her today, I'm going to run to a plane, hoping you say yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. Okay. So with that, I will entertain a motion. And just a reminder to the panel that this is an amendment request that has several schools and votes attached to it. So just for my clarification, before we get started, I guess I should back that up. So for my clarification, as we're doing our motion, do we include in that motion Pinecrest and Somerset, each of the campuses? How should we best word that to make sure that we are appropriately doing the motion and then for the voting sheets? And I probably would need guidance either from legal or from the charter office on that.
Charter office seems to be occupied. We were discussing that. I think you have 2 options. I think you can either essentially articulate in your motion if you think these are sufficiently similar, and really there's no limitations, but if you think it's the best practice, you can say we move to approve or whatever the motion is related to those 6 items, and essentially batch the votes. We can vote them separately, and legally I don't think there's a difference, but I do know that you have your rationale sheet, so that's more of a logistical concern, I think, for the board than a legal concern.
Okay.
So if you to perhaps make more succinctly, if you want to vote them all at once, just identify the items that you're voting on in the motion, and I think you're fine.
So the motion would still need to state every single one?
Mm-hmm. You can just accomplish it in either, essentially you can batch the votes or you can do them individually. I think the real question is, if you want to treat them all the same, then batching may be appropriate. If you want to treat them differently, then obviously you would take separate votes.
But legally, you're okay if we treat them the same. You're saying that's appropriate.
Well, I think that's a decision for you to make, whatever your substantive decision is. But if you wanted to give it credit, obviously, and I'd probably say the obvious, but if you wanted to give different treatment to the different items, you wouldn't batch those votes.
Right.
would only
But-
work if you're giving them all the exact same treatment.
Okay, so if we do that, then it's legal to do one.
Yes, sir, and you see this all the time in different bodies in the legislature, and you're voting on all of them at once. It's all about how you word your motion.
Okay, so with that further explanation of how a motion should be made, I will now entertain a motion on Pinecrest and Somerset's request to defer opening of their charter for 26-27 on the named campuses, on their 6 charter campuses that are located in Bentonville and Little Rock.
I'll take a stab at that.
You're so brave.
Okay, I'd like to present a motion that the request for extending the opening for Somerset Little Rock Middle School, for Somerset Academy Bentonville Elementary, and Somerset Bentonville High School to be granted. The request of the charter agency be requested.
There's some more.
Is some more?
It's not all of them, yeah. It's all of those.
Should be 7 altogether.
Okay, well, as well as Somerset Little Rock Elementary, Somerset Little Rock High School, and Somerset Academy of Bentonville Middle School.
I think that's it.
I second that.
And then you give me the glorious task of trying to word all that correctly. Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Newton and a second by Mr. Baldwin that we approve the amendment request by Pinecrest Somerset to defer their opening the 26-27 school year for all 6 charters to be located in Bentonville and Little Rock.
7
Seven.
technically.
7.
So,
And
yeah, I
Bentonville.
just want to make sure that we've got the Pinecrest and then the 6 Somerset campuses that are all inside that motion, so that we don't,
Yes,
we
Yes.
want to cover all of those campuses with the motion.
So if I'm looking at the agenda, I see, let me read through this so we answer your question. Pinecrest Fayetteville is the first item.
So B and C, C 1 through 6.
Yeah,
Yes.
3 2B, and then Somerset Academy is next. And then Somerset Bentonville High School is next. Somerset Academy Bentonville Middle School, Somerset Academy Bentonville K through 5, and then Somerset Academy Little Rock High School, Somerset Academy Little Rock Middle School, and Somerset Academy Little Rock K through 5.
That's correct. So according to the action agenda, if you wanted just to kind of help that, I guess, make it a little shorter, so you don't have to say all of that. Basically, it would be on the action agenda 2B, C 1 through 6. Correct? Isn't that right? Yes.
yes. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, we've heard an explanation. Is there any further discussion?
Will we have to give an explanation on each of the 7? Just one, okay, all right.
Is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, very good, motion carries. If you'll please go to your voting sheets. So I know that we're all trying to get through the various tabs, but it's, from my understanding, legal or charter can correct me, because of the way that we did the motion and we voted in batch. So when you provide your response to your voting, then you can respond in batch, so we don't have to go through each tab.
Dr. Wright McMurray, do you need us to copy and paste in each tab, even though we're only going to state it once?
Yeah, I probably would do that for the record for the charter office, but for our record, when you respond, you'll just respond off of one tab.
Thank you.
So I'll give everyone about a minute to finish that up, like your first tab, and then you can do the subsequent tabs as we finish up our meeting.
Thank God for copy and paste.
I'll start with Dr. Bacon.
I said I vote to approve the amended timeline for the 7 Pinecrest and Somerset schools, as I am confident leadership has been diligent in identifying and procuring appropriate school sites in Fayetteville, Bentonville, and Little Rock.
Okay. Dr. Moore.
I vote to approve the Pinecrest and Somerset Academy School Amendment Request to defer the start date for campuses listed on the July 17th, 25 agenda in 32B and 32C 1 through 6. Intentional site selection has been evident. I'm confident in the organization's ability to move forward.
Mr. Baldwin.
I voted to approve a 1-year extension for all 7 Pinecrest and Somerset school locations or schools to allow time for purchase and development of all properties.
Ms. Newton.
And my vote is in favor of the request that have been noted to be 1 through 6. Applicant shows actions and follow through measures consistent with plans for extending the opening to 26-27 school year.
Okay. Ms. Stewart.
I vote to approve the amendment to defer the start date of Pinecrest, Fayetteville 32B1 and Somerset Academy Schools 32C 1 through 6 due to financial stability and site selection with a progress check-in in October.
Thank you. And we think we just determined that we'll just put that into our other tabs as we need to. Okay. So.
Thank you all. We'll see you in October.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a request for a 5-minute break. So if we could take a quick 5 minutes and plan to hop back together at 11. We'll make it 7. At 11:10, if we can hop back on and give folks a chance to kind of stretch their legs for a second. We've been going for a bit. Okay, let's go ahead and resume our meeting. It's 11:10. With our next agenda item, this one's going to be a bit easier. So the next item on our agenda is the district conversion charter amendment request from the academies of Rivercrest. So Dr. Smith, if you'll please come forward and provide more detail on the amendment request.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome back, panel. Daryl Smith, Department of Education. Getting close to the end of our action agenda. So the next item on our action agenda is actually the Academies of Rivercrest. They are making a request to combine some grade levels into an existing building as well and make a name change to that. This is a conversion charter, so the rules change just a little bit because of just the way they're set up in the state. This request would have just kind of come through an LEA change request, but since it came in after June 1st, there is a rule that requires them to come before this panel and get an affirmative vote for them to do that. So without any delay, let me introduce Chantel Raper. She is the school leader at the Academies of Rivercrest.
Okay, good. Okay, great. So before we get started, all those giving testimony today on behalf of the Academies of Rivercrest, please stand and raise your right hand, including those on Zoom, okay? Do you swear that the testimony or statement you are about to give us is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. And did we get a yes online? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you, okay? So, good afternoon, Chantel, how are you today? Ms. Raper, how are you today?
I'm
Very
doing
good.
well. I'm doing well, Sonia. How are you doing? Great.
Very good, very good.
Great.
So if you want to begin your presentation.
All right. So, yeah, good morning. I'm Chantel Raper. I serve as Assistant Superintendent at Rivercrest School District. Our superintendent, Mike Cox, is online. We have just a very simple requesting an LEA reconfiguration just to simply unify our current 2 LEA structure to a more practical single 712 LEA. This change reflects how we already operate and will just simplify accountability, improve access, and better serve students. We're also requesting a name change that better reflects our school. We've provided a handout with bulleted points, and so if you have any questions about that, I am happy to answer those.
And as we have done with all others, we can get legal to let us know if there are any concerns that we need to be aware of.
Mr. Schultz is is not available at this moment. I will incapacitate. I guess he's not really incapacitated. He is not available at this moment. We'll put it that way. And I certainly don't want to speak for legal, but again, doing the legal review with him, I don't believe there's any legal issues related to this request.
Okay.
Right. And he can speak for himself now.
I apologize. I know we've been trying to do multiple things today, and we're a little shorthanded, so I do apologize. And I adopt the statements of the department. We don't have any concerns.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so with that, I will go to the panel. So, Mr. Baldwin, do you have any questions? Did you say yes or no? No, I have no questions. Okay. Ms. Newton? I have no questions. Ms. Stewart? Okay. Dr. Bacon?
Some very specific reasons why this is the smart move for your district. So I appreciate you all taking the time to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Moore?
No questions. Similarly, I just want to commend you on this, especially as we're moving to the new diploma pathways and redefining acceleration. I think you've opened up a lot of opportunities for your students.
Thank you.
And I will say that Dr. Moore stole my comments, so I won't have to repeat them. But thank you so much for kind of being a little bit forward thinking on this and taking the opportunity. And we appreciate you coming down and being in front of us today to be available for questions.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So if there are no further questions from any panel members, then I will accept a motion on the amendment request on behalf of the Academies of Rivercrest.
I make a motion to accept the request for the Academies at Rivercrest for an LEA change, a name change, and consolidation from 2 schools, 7-8 and 9-12 to 1 school, 7 through 12.
Okay.
A second.
Okay. So there's a motion by Ms. Stewart, a second by Dr. Moore, that we accept the amendment request on behalf of the Academies of Rivercrest. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, motion passes. If you'll please go to your voting sheets. Okay, so if we could please share how we voted. Ms. Newton?
I voted in favor of the motion. The LEA change enhances the delivery of services to the impacted students.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Stewart?
I vote for the amendment request to change from 2 schools to 1, grade 7 through 12 to better serve students and families and increase operational efficiency.
Dr. Bacon?
I vote to approve the amendment as it reflects thoughtful consideration of changes that are student-focused.
Okay. Dr. Moore?
I vote to approve the amendment request for Rivercrest School District to reconfigure the district conversion charter to 1 LEA serving grades 7 through 12 to better serve students.
Okay. And Mr. Baldwin?
I voted to approve the requested LEA change as presented in the charter amendment request form and as described in the Rivercrest rationale letter.
Okay, very good. So we have gotten through all of our items on our action agenda. So we're now on to our consent agenda. And Dr. Darrell Smith, I invite you to come forward to discuss the process for placement of items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Darrell Smith, Department of Education. On July 11th, this panel engaged in a work session that worked through the roles of this board and this panel, as well as some of the authority structures. And one of the things that we discussed was the process for how the agenda was going to be developed and what was going to be on the consent agenda and what would be on an action agenda. And during that process, there was a 7-question process or 7 questions that would be asked of every item that was brought before us to bring to you on the agenda, and the process for whether or not how we would determine if it was going to be a consent agenda based on the answers to those questions. And at the conclusion of our work session, we agreed that we would bring it before this panel as an official to approve that process, so that we were all, again, would be very clear on how we were putting together on the consent agenda. Just as a reminder, there were the 7 questions, and you can see in your packet how they would be, how the answers would be to those questions. If any of those answers are in either yes or no or not go against that, they would automatically be pushed on the action agenda. Or if any committee member had a concern about the request, then it would automatically be put on the be put on the action agenda. So at this time, we're just asking for your vote to approve the process that we discussed and during the work session.
Yeah, and so I need to correct myself. We had one more item on the action agenda. I guess I was getting a bit excited that we're going to move off the action agenda. So that is our last item on the action agenda is for us to vote on the process for placement of items on the consent agenda. And I know that legal is so thankful they don't have to come forward and make any comments on that. So with that, we have had an explanation. Are there any questions that need to be addressed by any of our panel members? And I'll just quickly go through. Ms. Stewart?
I have no questions, but I appreciate this clarification.
Yeah. Dr. Bacon?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Dr. Moore?
I just have one clarifying question that I know it would have been really handy if I'd had it the other day. But as I read through this another time, even though I already had gone through it, just on number 4, which says, has the office received parent, staff, or community feedback or objections? I can understand that if there were objections, then it wouldn't be on the consent agenda. But what if you just received positive parent, staff, or community feedback? I mean,
yeah, I guess it would be for negative objections.
yeah. So just maybe through that lens, because if it was
Sure.
positive feedback, because you could receive feedback.
Absolutely.
And it might be good.
Absolutely.
But that wouldn't need to.
Thank you for the clarification.
So,
Yeah, we'll
just
put that
put
on
that.
our clarification
Okay.
as we move forward.
All right, that's
Absolutely.
all. Only question, thanks.
Okay. Mr. Baldwin?
I'd like to thank the team, ADE team, for putting this together. I think this is well done, and I think it's going to be very useful for all of us.
And Ms. Newton?
I voted for the amendment. Matters of consideration of efficiency by panel members is greatly enhanced by this request.
Okay. Well, we were just taking questions, but at least we've gotten that part out of the way when it's time to share your vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No, I'm sorry.
Hey, I feel you. I was already down to the consent agenda. I was off of action.
Well, I have no questions.
I understand. Okay, very good. So with that, and I will just echo that I greatly appreciate the charter office for taking the time to meet with us and walk through that process and then kind of give us a heads up of what's coming. I can see that you guys are committed to and are moving in a direction of wanting to be more efficient and support us in what we do. So I do greatly appreciate that, and I don't want that to go unnoticed. So with that, are there any additional questions that need to be addressed? Okay. If not, then I will accept the motion on the process for placement of items on the consent agenda.
So moved, and since I've already voted, but so moved to accept the recommendation.
Okay, very good.
I'll second.
Okay, so there's a motion by Ms. Newton and a second by Dr. Bacon. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Please go to your voting sheet. Okay, so Dr. Bacon?
I vote to approve the adoption of this approach and appreciate the charter unit's efforts in clarifying this process.
Dr. Moore?
I vote to approve the new charter office process for placement of items on a consent agenda and appreciate the efforts for transparency and clarity.
Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, I voted in favor of the consent agenda template prepared by the ADE team and appreciate their efforts to bring this to us.
Okay.
I also,
Ms. Newton?
again, also voted in favor of the matters of consideration, because the matters of consideration allows efficiency by panel members, is our ability to do that is greatly enhanced by this request.
Okay, and Ms. Stewart?
I vote to approve the process for placement of items on a consent agenda and appreciate the AD's work with the CAP to create this process that will help with transparency.
Okay. Okay, very good. So now on to the consent agenda. So hopefully at this point, you've all had an opportunity to look at item 2.1, which is the June 19th, 2025 minutes. Are there any revisions to the minutes, or do I have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion by Ms. Newton, a second by Dr. Moore, for us to approve the consent agenda, which includes the June 19th, 2025 minutes. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Okay, very good. Motion passes. If you'll please indicate on your voting sheet how you voted. Okay, Ms. Stewart?
Yes, I vote to approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the June 19th, 2025 CAP meeting.
Okay. Dr. Bacon?
I vote to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, Dr. Moore?
I approve the consent agenda, including the minutes from the June 19th charter authorizing panel meeting.
Okay, Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, I voted to approve the consent agenda.
And Ms. Newton?
I voted to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, very good. All right. So next we have reports. So we have under reports a preview of the state's charter school portfolio for the 2025-2026 school year, and then also renewals. And the presenter is Mr. Freddie Scott from the Office of School Choice.
Good morning, Freddie Scott, Office of School Choice. I first want to say that I want to echo the sentiments of the office, saying how great it is to be able to serve you all in a quality manner. You're doing a phenomenal job, and we are excited about the opportunity to share with you reports and other aspects of our planning as we move forward. I won't stand before you long, because I believe it's only one other item before lunch and taking a bigger break. So I just want to share from some numbers as we look at the landscape of all the charters throughout the state. It's divided up into 5 regions. It's real simple: northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast, and central. So to give you an idea of how the lay of the land is, the landscape is relative to open enrollment charters, district conversion charters, and share also the numbers associated with those that were coming up for renewals. To give you an idea, the first one in the central region, we have 44 active open enrollment schools. Of that, there are 14 districts. So there's 14 districts, and again, 44 active schools. There are, in that, there are 3 new starts that will come up in 26-27. There are 4 in the northwest region of open enrollments that will come up for renewal. So they're scheduled to come before you at some point later this year. And from open enrollments in the the central region, there's been one closure. Among the district conversions, there's 9 active district conversions with 3 that are coming up for renewal. And in the central region, there have been 2 closures from the district conversions. So that handles the central region. The northwest region, there are 19 active schools coming from 6 districts in the northwest. There are 4 new starts that will come on in 26 and 27. A lot of that is because of the decisions made today. And there are 7 renewals among the open enrollments in the Northwest, and they experienced 1 closure in that region. District conversions, there are 6 active, 6 districts, and 3 closures that have occurred among the district conversions in the Northwest region. Northeast, there's 1 active open enrollment, and that 1 active one will come up for renewal. And then among the 10, there's 10 active district conversions with 6 coming up for renewal. Northeast, there's only one open enrollment charter, and that 1 is coming up for renewal. And among the district conversions, there's actually 10 active among 6 districts, and 6 of those are coming up for renewal this year. In Northeast, there's only 1 open enrollment that covers 5 active schools. And in the Southwest, there's only 1 active open enrollment with 10 active district conversions from 2 different districts. In all, it totals active, there's 62 open enrollment schools. There's 7 open enrollments coming up for renewal, 13 district conversions that will be coming up for renewal. So essentially, we're looking at 20 schools that will be coming before you for renewal. Their contract expires in 26-27. So that gives you an idea of what the lay of the land is. Well, we will provide a more aesthetic report for you so you can have a good look how it lays out region by region and what the expectation will be as we lay out our strategic plan going forward. Be able to provide you the information that you request. Also, considering we're making plans to have some targeted areas where we have CAP meetings in some of the other regions, it may help in making some of those decisions as you look at not only the names of the schools, but also their renewal dates of their contracts. So that represents the landscape of the charters regionally. If I entertain any questions you may have. Otherwise, we'll see a more dynamic report in the future.
Is there an idea of how those will be scheduled in quarters or so many per month or no more than?
How many?
On a given day? Okay, the renewals, how are they scheduled? Are they scheduled by the date that they were approved or looking at the school, certainly before the next school year if it expires, I guess?
Yes, so the renewals will be a different approach in the past. We're focusing obviously on performance and performance framework. That being said, there's a lot of data that we're capturing, the office is capturing on each of the schools, all of the schools, number one, but in particular those that are coming up for renewal. So we know who those schools are, we're collecting those data. We do our job in providing site visits and to gather more information that needs assessment. And that needs assessment is not just what we see on our side, but gathering intel from the schools, what they see on their side as we look at what to do, what kind of plan to put into place. We will combine that, compile a report for you, and we'll present that information to you well in advance. And there's a timeline associated with that, and we'll be glad to share that time with you as well. So it's a targeted process of gathering data, providing you the information, the assessment, and for you to make an accurate decision.
Additionally, is there an idea of how many new charters have applied and what the timeline is for reviewing those applications?
Very good question. Yes, we're leveraging a partnership with National Charter Schools Institute and a tool, Epicenter. And in Epicenter, we've recently had 6 schools, 6 entities that have applied for an open enrollment charter, and 1 that have applied for a district conversion charter. As we speak, we're evaluating those applications now. Our next step is to perform a capacity review, have some information back and forth in regards to those applicants so they could ultimately submit a final application. After review of that application, we'll be able to be in a position to ultimately schedule a meeting, a hearing before you for those new applicants.
Thank you.
Okay, good question. Any others?
I think one of the things Ms. Newton was asking earlier, so with 20, would that be like 2, 3, 4 days of hearings, or how does that, I think that's sort of where she was
That's
going.
it, that's what I was
What's
going.
the schedule look like for 20 renewals?
We're gonna have one marathon session. We're gonna have a lock-in, the old school lock-in. We're just gonna have 24 hours of renewals. No, our goal is basically, as Mr. Scott has explained the process, is that as we finish the site visit and we begin to, and we get that final report done, at that point we will then come to you. So our goal is to probably 3 or 4 a month, kind of starting from October, November, to kind of get us all the way through maybe March. You know, that way we're not trying to do 21 at a time. The process will be much different than it was before, where they're not gonna have to come in here and do this big major presentation for you during renewal. Some may, depending on the performance and where they're at in the process, and just as far as, you know, some of those things and some questions that we may have about how they can improve. And some may not. You know, some of those that are high performing, we'll kind of say, hey, we're looking good. We'll present that to you, and you can just say, yep, we're good. Let's roll. So we will save some time on not having to listen to 21 full-blown 30-minute presentations, and leave our presentations to those that are maybe that have some additional questions or some concerns that you feel like you'd like to have answered prior to renewing them for another X number of years. Same type of thing with the application timeline that you'd addressed. And so basically we're renewing it right now. We're going to go through kind of an internal review with them. We hope to have our first meeting with them here in the next couple of weeks and have our final recommendation ready for you all by the 1st of August, or right there the first part of the week of August. So you'll have that next month to kind of review, and we'll have a chance to talk through those applications in our one-on-one briefings, and then that'll get you ready for their September hearings.
Okay.
Yeah, you bet.
You're muted.
Sorry. Okay. Are there any other questions for Mr. Scott?
Thank you so much for that data. Is there any chance that you could share that with us via email?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because like, I heard it, it was great, but now I couldn't tell you anything that you told me. So it'd be great just to look at on paper.
Certainly will.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your work on that.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions from any panel members for Mr. Scott in regards to his report? Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Scott, so much for putting that together. Greatly appreciate it. And we're looking forward to sounds like a busy year. So good. So it looks like next on the agenda we have public comments. Are there any public comments that we need to address?
There are not.
No?
Yes, you can't hear me back over there, can you? There are no public comments for today's meeting.
All right, thank you. Okay, so if there is no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Dr. Rob McMurray, if I could take privilege and say thank you to the Charter Office. We've said it about different things and different pieces of what y'all have done. Thank you so much for this organization, and praise God for the Zoom working and just all the things. And special appreciation to Mary Perry for all that you've done to provide information to us. This was just so very helpful, and the organization is much appreciated.
Thank you. This really is great to have this book.
I know that takes a lot of your time, and y'all are very busy with so many other things going on in your office, so thank you for that.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes. Yes. And especially today that I had to chair from a distance, I do greatly appreciate that Zoom was able to allow me to be a part of the meeting today. So thank you all so much for hearing our concerns and our questions and being responsive to that and supporting us in this work. So I do agree as well. Thank you all so much for all that you are doing to make sure this process is efficient and effective for all. So if there is no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn at this point.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. So I have a motion by Dr. Bacon and a second by
Edie.
Ms. Stewart. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it. We stand adjourned. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next month.